practice just a little bit, or maybe encompass even more, I think is the best way to say it. And Katherine, I know one of the things that we were talking about that you added in, RVs. People were hitting the road, getting in the RV, and I know there's a lot of legal implications that sometimes can come from that. And that's how you've expanded. You're seeing that in your practice, right?
Right. We're starting to get a lot more calls about people being involved in auto accidents involving the driving of RVs, which certainly is covered under auto policies. And but something that was interesting to me that came about as well was there's also a type of insurance that is involved with recreational vehicles such as RVs or motorhomes, is vacation liability insurance. And so, otherwise known as campsite liability. So for instance, let's say you go to a campsite, you have your RV. Let's say someone trips on a rug that you had placed next to your RV. Let's say someone, the step on your RV breaks, or they slip and fall on the inside of your RV because of a rug or some water or whatever it may be. Any injuries on your RV that are not related to an auto accident, or even within your little campsite designated area, could be covered under what's called vacation liability insurance if the owner of that RV has it. Again, I don't sell insurance, but I would recommend anybody with an RV definitely get in touch with your agent and talk about this, because I think it's very important. I think the sales of RVs have doubled, if not quadrupled, since COVID. People going on vacations locally within the state of Florida or even within the United States because they can't travel out of states. We've just seen a skyrocket of people using and going to RV sites. With that also comes RV, accidents related to using RVs, being around RVs, and those types of things.
Let's, the funny thing too, we actually had an experience with an RV, and I was so happy that they actually gave driving lessons before we jumped in, because I feel like so many people who did get into an RV, it might have been new for them during this pandemic. And I'm assuming you're seeing some of those phone calls where either persons who were injured or maybe even behind the wheel were affected by not necessarily having the experience, which is where the insurance comes in.
Right. And not having the experience of driving the RV, backing into property and causing property damage. The other thing too that has been interesting is accidents involving whatever they hook up to the back of that RV. We all see the cars or the little trailers hooked up to the back of those RVs, and people really need to make sure that they have it inspected by a qualified professional to make sure that they know how to hook it up, that they've hooked it up correctly, and that they're not hauling too much weight. That's a huge, huge thing is people. And so again, that can all create liability for someone if you cause an accident or if you're injured by someone who failed to take the necessary precautions with regards to those items.
Katherine, in closing, I want to get your thoughts on kind of like a call to action, if you will, for viewers out there. We've talked with you for years about your passion with helping folks with workers' compensation, but that's not just limited anymore. What do you want people to know out there if they've maybe been affected by an RV or have some questions when it comes to if they're covered or not, or find themselves